Okay, I would like to reconvene this meeting of June 11th, 2018 of the West Windsor Township Council. We did have a closed session before this open session, so we have been adequately noticed, and would you all join us, please, in the salute to the flag?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. We have a ceremonial matter tonight. Mayor, over to you.
As my rookie's luck, the taxpayer sent me to the mayor's convention in Atlantic City. I had only one business card left on me. I put it in a bowl and won $1,000 in American water raffle. And I'm allowed to donate it to any charity of my choice. And as you know, I suggested that we pick one charity to celebrate every year. And this year being the police department celebrating the 50th year of their existence, we are trying to celebrate the police department's 50th year anniversary. And one of the things they want to buy is the drone. So I'm donating that $1,000 to the police department. The WWPBA representative is supposed to be here. In their absence, all the councilwomen can take the check.
Do you want to do it? You want me to do it? Yeah. Come up with me.
Okay. Check to me and
I'll take the check. I have no problem taking the check.
All right.
get away. Thank you very much. Thank you, Mayor. And I am you just missed your podcast.
Come on, let's take another picture. Here, give him the big check.
Mayor, did you want to get the picture?
Yeah.
Okay. Why don't I come up? You go with the dish. Well,
Thank you. And I'm bringing you a card to pick next year. Thank you. Thank you, Mayor.
Some mayors have been trying for 20 years. First try. Thank you. I can send it on, but it's not going to be any good.
You're going to run more checks to the bank.
Yeah, I don't think they'll let you know. Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you. We really appreciate that, and we are proud of our mayor and his beginner's luck. So next on the agenda is public comment. Is anyone signed up?
I have Mr. or Miss Rajan? Oh, come on up. And give me your first name. How do you say your first name? Janani. That's very pretty. Go ahead. Just state your names and your addresses and give us your presentation.
And you have to speak very close to the mic. Pull the mic very close to you.
Yeah, did I say that?
Um,
No
So, I'm
Where do
Jen,
you live, sweetheart?
State your name.
2 Sunset Court, West Windsor, New Jersey.
What are your names?
Janani Rajan. And I'm Padmaja Karanar.
Go ahead.
Good evening. So, as you know, I'm Janani and she's Padmaja, and today we're going to talk to you about our Silver Award project and why you should help us out. And we're both 7th graders in Community Middle School and Girl Scouts of Troop 70052. Our Silver Award project is about making a school supply and book drive in Dutch Neck Elementary School to donate school supplies and books to a school in Trenton called Jefferson Elementary School. We will be placing boxes outside of each classroom in Dutch Neck Elementary School so that the children have a place to donate their school supplies and books. We will then periodically check on those boxes and collect those supplies, and then deliver them to Jefferson Elementary School in Trenton. In addition to that, we're also working with the Dutch Neck Extended Day program, and what we're doing is we teach them the importance of why they should donate to kids in need just like them, and the concept of reusing, reducing, and recycling. So we do this through an interactive skit, and on the following week, the Extended Day program students bring in their donations and they help us sort them out. So they do our project in the smaller scale, so they learn the importance. We have come into contact with 4 very important people who have helped us greatly in our project. The first is Mr. Argis, the principal of Dutch Neck Elementary School. He has supported us greatly, as well as given us permission to hold the school supply drive in Dutch Neck. We have also come into contact with Miss Kathy Gu, the PTA president of Dutch Neck Elementary. She, along with Mr. Argis, has also supported us and given us the liberty of holding email blasts in their weekly email blasts. We also have come into contact with Miss Rufo, the EDP director of Dutch Neck Elementary School. She has given us permission to hold the EDP activities. And lastly, Miss Elizabeth. She is our Girl Scout troop leader, and she has held this Silver Award project for us to do. So we're here today to request you, maybe you could help us out in this project. You could put the information, we have a flyer, you can put that information on your website, or you can do anything to spread awareness, or you could simply donate. Thank you so much for listening. Do you have any questions?
No, but I applaud you for doing this. I think it's a great project, and you're trying to help many children, who have a lot of needs, and we're certainly a very generous community. So thanks for doing this, and we'll see what we can do to help you.
It's a great silver project and great idea, and I hope we can get that on our website. Sharon, if you could communicate that to the right people, because I think people would like to read about that, and you make us proud.
We also have flyers to hand out for you.
Please give them to the clerk. Thank you.
Thank you, girls.
Wish you all the best. Anyone else signed up? Gesundheit.
Bless you. Sylvia? Ms. Ascarelli?
You don't have to be signed up, but we ask the people who are signed up to speak first. Yes.
Sylvia Ascarelli, 27 Melville Road. I'm here to thank all of you on the dais, anyone who sat on the dais in the last 5 years, Fran Guzik and others in the township for the sidewalks from 571 on Cranberry Road down to the bridge. It's done. It looks fantastic. The retaining wall and the embankment looks fantastic. It's just going to be fabulous, especially once the bridge opens, which I gather is next month. I will come up another time, no doubt, to ask about when the next section is going to be done, but for now, I just want to say thank you. It just looks fabulous, and if you haven't been down there, go down. It looks great. Thanks.
Thank you.
Eileen Green?
You can,
Here.
Eileen's next.
Everybody will have a
Sign up.
chance.
Here's the sign up here.
Hello, everyone. My name's Eileen Green. I'm the Executive Director of the West Windsor Arts Council. Good to see you all again. And I'm here tonight just to reaffirm the Arts Council's support for the arts in the community and to update you a little bit on some initiatives that we've been working on. I wanted to make sure that you know that our Martian project is moving forward. If you haven't heard about it, we actually have a public arts initiative, which we'd like to be considered as part of our creative placemaking drive to do in the community. And we're seeking to work with various businesses and other organizations in the community. We've already formed a planning committee made up of members of those different resources in the community, and the idea is that we will be releasing a public call to sculptors to create sculptures inspired by our history as in the War of the Worlds broadcast, which was in 1938, and this year is the 80th anniversary. It will be on October 30th, 2018 will be the 80th anniversary. So we were really inspired by this and using it as a springboard to initiate public art in the community. So we're seeking partners in that, and so this is a call to the community to reach out to us and get involved if there are business owners who would like to see a sculpture placed on their property, or even private property owners who are interested. We do have a sponsorship sheet that we've developed, and we'd be happy to share that with anyone who's interested. Also, you know, we're very interested in working with the Township as well, and if there are places that are Township-owned that you feel might be appropriate, we'd love to work through the proper channels and see if that might be a possibility as well. So, you know, as I said, the public call for proposals will be going out. We'll be seeking artists to propose work. We would like to offer them an honorarium, and so we are also seeking donations to support both the creation of the work, the installation of the work, and then the care for the work as well. So any questions about that?
Sounds marvelous, and I know I will be looking around at all the public spaces and thinking, should there be a statue there? So if
Great.
I find a place I think really suitable, I'll tell you.
Wonderful.
And I'm sure we all will.
Does that get coordinated through, what, the mayor's office or business office, where any sculpture should go, or is there permission that has to be
Of
granted
course.
first,
I
and all
mean,
that kind of
I
stuff?
think our suggestion should go to the Arts Council, and if they like the suggestions, they will bring it to the mayor's office.
Your first project is with the parking authority, right?
Correct. We are working with the West Windsor Parking Authority, and it does look like there will be a sculpture going in on their property, and that will probably be the first one and something that we'll celebrate during the anniversary.
All right, that's,
But we'd like to see them all over town. That's sort of a special project where we're working one-on-one with them, but we have other opportunities. And our idea is that if we get these projects in from the artist, then we can kind of match them with an appropriate site. We can say, you know, here's something that we've approved and we'd like to see go somewhere, you know, what do you think?
And so do you have then specific outreach to our corporate residents? Is there?
We would
something
like
you're
to
doing?
make some, yes, we have a sponsorship sheet that lists, you know, different levels of participation and
But how are they getting to know about it?
we're still working on that. This is a first way, you know, to make it public and make it known. We'll be putting it on our website and releasing it through our communications channels, but we seek help of anyone who knows businesses who might be interested to help us make those connections.
Great.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Marla Esposito.
So, good evening, Mr. Mayor, council members, residents, and
Can you just
guests.
state your name and address, please?
Marla Esposito, 18 Van Wyck Drive, Princeton Junction, New Jersey. So I'm once again here to speak about the yard debris that is constantly on our roads. I spoke about this in previous years. So I have a few bullet points to go through. Regardless of the public works schedule, debris is constantly being put out by residents and gardeners. This has created a huge safety issue for school buses, cars, and especially pedestrians on bikes. The township needs to address this issue immediately, which continues to worsen each year. We have unsightly neighborhoods and township areas. I do understand that there was a lot of extra debris due to the storms. We had a bad winter and hurricanes. We need to get past that and get back to being proud of what our neighborhoods look like and how we want our town to look. My recommendation is to completely eliminate brush pickup, therefore allowing our Public Works Department to address other, more important maintenance issues in the township. Thank you in advance for your attention to this matter.
Thank you.
Mr. John Hinsdale?
John Hinsdale, 38 Quaker Road. At council meeting on April 23, 2018, the mayor announced a fundraising organization named West Windsor Gives Back and said donations to it would be tax deductible. A month later, on May 25th, Councilmember Manzari posted online in response to questions about tax deductibility that this organization was a nonprofit. Anyone planning on deducting from their taxes contributions to West Windsor Gives Back would be well advised to learn three things: the actual legal name of the organization, the section of the Internal Revenue Code under which the organization was formed, and, most important, the 9-digit tax ID number, known to the IRS as the Employer Identification Number, or EIN, that distinctly identifies the organization. Every nonprofit has one. This information for West Windsor Gives Back appears not to have been well advertised, unlike the mayor's and council members Manzari's advice on tax deductibility. Council should not introduce any resolution relating to West Windsor Gives Back without these important details that help confirm the organization's authenticity. Donors should also be aware of Internal Revenue Code Section 170C4, which governs tax deductibility of gifts from individuals to certain nonprofits based on how the money is used. Specifically, donors should verify whether or not gifts to West Windsor Gives Back are in fact deductible under 170C4, given that some of the money may be used, as the mayor has indicated, for acquiring capital equipment for township operations or for social functions such as the mayor's ball. While we are on the subject, why do we need a private organization to buy capital equipment for township operations? Why doesn't council just appropriate money from the budget to buy the tools that township employees need to do their jobs? Are you all too cheap? Since when do we run the township as a charity? As a citizen and taxpayer, I accept my obligation to pay money to the township so it can be put efficiently to good public use. And like everyone else, I work hard every day at my job to earn that money. I am not a charity case.
Mr. Daniel Weiss?
Good evening. My name is Daniel Weiss, 15 Canoe Brook Drive in Princeton Junction. I've lived in West Windsor for almost 27 years. And my comment is in regards to the Transit Village redevelopment ordinance on today's agenda.
Mr. Weiss, there's a public hearing on that, and comments on the ordinances that are on the agenda should be given in the public hearing, which will be in just a few minutes.
So should
if
I
you-
wait?
Yes, you
Oh,
should wait,
okay.
and then come up and speak in public comment.
Okay.
If you have something else in addition, you can say that now.
No, that was my
Okay.
extent of my comments. Thank you.
Thank you.
And I believe Mr. Richard Kay also had comments too. Is it regarding you have Transit Village?
Good evening, Richard Kay, 66 Coneflower Lane. I had a question about the Transit Village from what I read in the newspaper. Is this the inappropriate time to ask the question?
Probably, but I don't know exactly what your question is, but it would definitely be appropriate in the public comment for the public hearing, which will be in a few minutes.
Then I'll wait.
I have no one else signed up. Is there anyone else that'd like to speak?
Good evening. Dan Fabrizio, 8 Exeter Court. Good evening, Council, Mayor, Administration. I just wanted to comment briefly on Canal Point Boulevard. I have to admit, I was a naysayer of the road diet, but so far it's been working out pretty good for the year since it's been done. Living on Princeton Greens, which is one of the neighboring developments along Canal Point Boulevard, I utilize the bike path for running. It's nice, the car's not in it, but what I've come to see, and I guess a lot of this has to do with the March snowstorm, which a lot of trees have come down. There are numerous tree limbs hanging from the trees that were not cut down previously when they did the road diet. A lot of broken limbs, some of them 10, 15 feet in length, just dangling, broken, and just ready to go through a windshield. About 3 to 4 weeks ago, I went to the construction office and spoke to someone to get out there and fix this before something bad happens. This is obviously a safety concern. I'm looking at this as I'm running down the bike path and just hoping it's not windy that day. And it was easier to see before the leaves came out. Now the leaves are all coming out, but the limbs are still in there. In addition, as I run, I'm like, I see an 18-wheeler come down and it nips another branch. So there's a lot of low-hanging branches that, for the safety concern, it needs to be trimmed up a bit. And I'm surprised they didn't do this along when they did the road diet and they were taking down the trees, just trim some of them back for the ones that remained. As a safety concern, I'd like the administration perhaps to follow up. I know you have one bucket truck and it's in high demand and everyone's using it, but this is summertime, there are bikes, there are runners. It needs to be addressed sooner than later, particularly with these storms we're having, and if something's going to cut loose. And the other concern along Canal Point Boulevard are the numerous street lights that are still out. Half of them are out. Now, I was told once, and this is going back 3 years at least, when I brought this to the administration's attention, well, you got to call public service and tell them the poll number. Well, half the polls don't even have a number. Some of them have chalk written on it, and some of the numbers are washed away. They're the old aluminum square poles. It's an old-style street lamp. I thought they would have renovated them, made them a little more newer to come over the roadway, but some of them are even in the tree canopies, so the light really doesn't illuminate the road. But there's like 3, 4 in a row. I'm almost done. There's like 3 or 4 lights in a row that's totally out, and there's totally darkness around a bend. So these are both between the limbs and the lights. They're safety concerns, and I appreciate if they can be addressed in some way, shape, or manner rather sooner than later, particularly, that we have the nicer weather. Thank you.
Thanks. Thank you. So noted. Anyone else? Okay, seeing none. Administration comments?
Our public works crews are finishing up Zone 1. They hope to complete it by the end of the day tomorrow, which would then move them into Zone 2. I'm urging our residents that once the crews have been through, that they're not to put out any material until the crews are due to return for the next pickup. It's really got to be a community effort in terms of the crews doing their jobs, and they are doing them. They are just about caught up. But I have to ask the residents to please cooperate and be considerate of your neighbor. If your material has been picked up, please do not put it out until your next scheduled pickup. It's a service that's in great demand in this community. Several years ago, the council went through a lengthy process in terms of amending the ordinance. We had residents who were very vocal about not having the service eliminated. Council agreed to basically suspend the service in January and February so that the Public Works crews could get caught up. Unfortunately, this year, there was no getting caught up because we went from one nor'easter into another after another, and we had significant damage, as did many communities in the area. So please, once the crews have been through, I'm urging you, as a quality of life issue, and out of consideration for your neighbor, to please refrain from keeping material at the curb until it's your turn again. Thank you.
And I know that you did speak about this. Yes, you brought it up, but this is an issue that we have spoken about. It's ongoing, and Marlena's plea is one that she and I kind of take turns in making.
But you really can't, most people may not watch the council meeting, you need to send it out.
Perhaps we need to send out some kind of, to blanket the township with some kind of information saying, you are in Zone 4. You, by the way, are in Zone 4. Your pickup week starts the 4th Monday of the month. Please do not put out debris until the 3rd Monday of the month. Perhaps we can figure out a way other than...
I have found mailings get tossed in the garbage. They don't even get opened, so.
Well-
We will mail, but, you know, people don't view TV, and there are people that don't open mail necessarily from the township. They may open their tax bills, but no.
We should put that in the tax bill. The mayor
There's
always
no-
has a message in the tax bill, and he should include that. Mayor? In red.
So, it's an education process, and, okay? Thank you.
And I do think that it would be easier to educate people now when Zone 4 is picked up the 4th week, Zone 3 the 3rd, and Zone 2 the 2nd, rather than every 4th week, which changes each month.
No, that's how we do it.
No,
Zone 1 is week 1.
we're on
No,
a,
it used to be
Right.
that it was a 4-week cycle. It's changed to a monthly cycle, which gives Public Works 4 weeks a year to catch up.
Right.
When there's 5 Mondays in a month.
Right, exactly.
So, which is very good. Okay, so any other administration comments?
that's all I have. The mayor may have some.
Yeah, I mean, this year has been challenging. I mean, there's no way about it. And it's a little tough to give people notices because we are running behind. So it's a little tough to be, it's presumptuous to tell them, don't put it out when we are running behind and we are doing our best to catch up. But as she said, I mean, it's just a decency issue. People should respect their own neighborhood. I mean, you're putting your garbage in your own neighborhood, so you should respect your own neighborhood. And I hope people who are listening will do that. You can always go on the district website and find out when your pickup thing is, township website and find out. It's very simple. I mean, there's a map. You don't have to know where your zone is. If you know map of West Windsor, you can easily find out. So, okay, so let me start. Since my friend Paul Pitluck is here, let me wish him happy birthday. He celebrated last week and one day after me, so I always remember that. So, the Cranberry Road project, somebody was talking about Cranberry, it's supposed to open early July. I mean, that's the latest date the county has given us. The county is working on the 2 new traffic lights, and they also expect that the 2 traffic lights to be completed before the bridge opens. And we as West Windsor Township also expect both the sidewalk projects to be completed before the bridge opens. So everything, the bridge opening was delayed by a year and a half, but hopefully everything will come together in early July. Last year, I emphasized the need to attract new tech businesses to West Windsor, and people always cited Cambridge, Massachusetts as one of the prime examples. So I'm happy to announce that one of the such first high-tech business, which has operations already in Cambridge, Massachusetts, has agreed to open a manufacturing facility in West Windsor. The business is Urtec. It's founded in Lyon, France in 2004 and has offices in Cambridge. It's a clinical stage biopharmaceutical company developing innovative therapies for cancer and rare diseases. Urtec's core technology leverages its proprietary UrCaps platform, which uses a novel technology to encapsulate therapeutic drug substance inside red blood cells. Urtec has developed a pipeline of product candidates in solid and liquid cancers and enzymatic disorders. I'm just reading it, I don't know what it means. So, but I'm happy to welcome them. They are going to hire people here. When we met with them last week, they are going to hire a lot of people here from manufacturing facilities right by Route 1 and Black Rock area. So I hope this is only first of many companies to move into West Windsor.
Do you know exactly where they're going?
Yes, I have the address, I'll give you. It's
Okay.
right by Black Rock.
Oh, okay, thank you. Sounds exciting. Anything else?
No, that's it?
Okay, council member comments. We start with Virginia.
Okay. Bike Fest was a great event. It was well-attended. The weather was beautiful, albeit a little hot, especially for the people doing the 40-mile ride. DJ Reggie was a lot of fun. He got the crowd moving. Memorial Day Parade was also well-attended. We had the privilege of walking in that parade, and I actually spoke with a gentleman who told me that the first Memorial Day Parade that he ever attended, the older people walking in that parade were Civil War veterans. So I thought that was just wild, and he was really interesting to talk to and get a different perspective. So many thanks to Gay for putting together all of that. It's a lot of work, and it came off, it was great, and we had good weather for it, so thank you for all of your hard work. High School South had their one-act plays last weekend, and they were phenomenal. Very talented group of kids, so I was glad to go see that, and that'll probably be the last one that I'll have a child involved in, so it was special for me for that reason as well. South also had their prom this weekend, and the kids gathered at Mercer County Lake for pictures, and everybody looked like movie stars. I tell you, it was crazy. Kids looked so beautiful and handsome. It was really nice. Congratulations to all of the graduates. This coming Wednesday is graduation. Actually, the 20th, next week, is graduation. And North, I believe, is in the morning. South will be in the evening at 7 p.m. So congratulations to everyone who is graduating, including my daughter. Yesterday, I attended the Girl Scout ceremony to award the gold, silver, and bronze awards. So, and I had the pleasure of speaking at that as well. And it was really phenomenal to hear about these projects that these girls were working on. I mean, these are heavy-duty projects that these kids do. And so that was really cool to see, and was very proud of those girls. Some of those girls were in my daughter's troop when she was younger, so it was cool to see them having come that far. Congratulations to all those girls and their achievements. Just wanted to remind everybody to register now for summer programs. I'm the liaison for the Recreation Commission, so they have a lot of camps. They're trying some new things this year. They have a new chess camp. There's a kindergarten readiness camp. Prime Time, which is a travel camp, has been extended to include kids going into 10th grade, which is awesome because those kids are not old enough yet to get a job in most cases, but yet, you want to have some activities for them to do over the summer. So those are camps that go to Hershey Park, Dorney Park, they go to the beaches, so those are great for kids that age. So I encourage everybody to go online to the Recreation Commission website and sign your kids up for some camps. Also, just wanted to mention West Windsor Gives Back. That is the organization that the mayor has put together, and this is a group of really hardworking people who have been spending their own personal time helping to put together events for the rest of the year to celebrate the 50th anniversary of the police department. So some of the events are things that have already been ongoing for many years, and we're just sort of adding on to those. So that would be Bike Fest and Community Day. But then we have some other events that we have, the group of people have just planned as standalone events this year for us to celebrate the police department. And the one that's coming up is actually next week, next Friday, June 22nd. It's Dive Into Summer. It's an event at Waterworks Pool. If you haven't been to Waterworks Pool, it's awesome. There are several different pools. There's a water slide. There's a baby pool with like animals that spray water. They have like a regular pool that's sort of like a beach. And they got the lap pool. We're going to have a DJ there, food trucks, prizes, games, raffles. It's going to be awesome. We're raising money for the police department. Again, the mayor had mentioned that they would like to buy a drone for search and rescue and accident recreation and several other things that the police can use the drones for. So we're trying to raise money for them. And this event is going to be a great community event. Again, it's June 22nd, Friday, from 5 to 8 p.m., and that is free to all West Windsor residents. And that is it. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, Jyotika?
Hi, everyone. I want to congratulate Janini and Padmaja on their Choice of Silver projects. I want to applaud you for coming out to Town Council meeting and talking so eloquently about your projects. I'm sure you will get a great response to your book and school supply drive. I had the opportunity to attend the Girl Scouts Award ceremony with Virginia. It was my first time. It was really beautiful. I looked at some of the projects before the ceremony, and some of the girls had reached out to people either in the community, either who were less privileged than them, or try to look at needs in the community that could be filled by their work. And I really think that's leadership in action. The project seemed really involved. Example, for their Gold Award project, the girls need to put in 80 hours of community service. And I believe there's a small percentage, I'm not sure the exact number, I think it's about 5%, that's granted the award. And it seemed the girls really went the extra mile and it was pretty impressive. Happy 15th birthday to the Westminster Farmers Market. Families enjoyed going to the Farmers Market in the years since we've lived in Westminster. The kids love to eat there, and very often I've picked up our family supply of honey, of fruits and herbs from the market. My boys and I took part in the 7-mile bike ride at the Bike Fest. It was really, really fun. The boys were really tired at the end of it, but the chocolate chip cookies at the end made up for all the biking. Thank you to the Westminster Recreation Department for putting this event together. Today, I also want to talk about the Westminster Plainsboro Alliance. This is an organization that's a great non-profit. It works towards spreading awareness about drug use and alcoholism. Their mission is to encourage the community to practice healthy, drug-free living and to provide education and resources for the prevention, intervention, and treatment of alcoholism and drug abuse. It's funded partly by the New Jersey Governor's Council on Alcoholism and Drug Abuse, GCADA, and partly by the Plainsboro and Westminster Townships. I attended one of the meetings recently and found the group to be composed of educators, consultants, school administrators, Westminster and Plainsboro police personnel. They organize post-prom events so kids can have some good, clean fun without alcohol and drugs. They run the Sticker Shock on weekends, where they're putting stickers on pizza boxes reminding teens to say no to drugs. They have a website and a Facebook page. You can look them up. Their meetings are open to the public, so if you like, you can get acquainted with this wonderful organization that's engaged in keeping our communities safe. Thank you.
Thank you. Aisha?
So 2 very quick things. I want to thank our Princeton Junction Fire Department. This was last weekend. They hosted on the 100-mile bike ride for the American Diabetes Association. They were rest stop number 66, and they were amazing because they were sort of asked just a couple days before the other rest stop had fallen through, and they really pulled it together. So that's the kind of thing that we really appreciate in the community. Also appreciated in the community, I just learned that our Mercer County Sheriff and that our local police departments give away free bike or gun locks. So if you're in need of a gun lock, just call the police department and they will make sure you get one either from them or the sheriff. Thank you.
Thank you. Linda?
I also want to express a special thank you to our deputy clerk, sitting right over there, Gay Huber, and American Legion Post Commander Bob Cox for organizing the Memorial Day Parade and Ceremony. They do this each year. Gay is out there very early in the morning setting up everything to make sure everything runs smoothly, as it always does. So thank you, Gay, and thank you, Bob. High School North Marching Band was there and provided wonderful musical entertainment during the parade and before the ceremony started. The food, hot dogs, I guess we had water, soda, donated by McCaffrey's. Thanks to Marlena Schmidt, our business administrator, Alex Drummond, Janice DiNatale, and Shirley James for being the grill masters. They are in charge of getting the grill hot and ready for the hot dogs and all. So that's, they help out each year, so we appreciate them coming to do all that for us. Most importantly, though, is that we give thanks to our veterans and honor all the veterans who gave their lives so that we can enjoy all of our freedoms. So we are definitely grateful to all of our veterans, especially those who lost their lives. The Recreation Commission and the West Windsor Bicycle Pedestrian Alliance put together a very successful bike fest. I know that my husband Neil, he did the 20-mile run and then enjoyed it. The weather was pretty good, hot day, but it was okay, and it didn't rain. So, and I heard that more people signed up this year and attended than last. So that's always a good sign. Congratulations to the Farmers Market on its 15th anniversary. Chris Circus and Beth Bean led the celebrations on Saturday, and it's one of West Windsor's big success stories. If you've never been there, I believe it's 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. On Saturdays over at the Vaughan lot, which is off of Alexander Road. It's a lot of fun. People just like to walk around, meander, and you can buy all sorts of farm products, vegetables, cheeses, breads, and numerous things. So it's a lot of fun. If you've never done it, get over there and support them. Now, under new business, I would like the council later in the meeting perhaps just touch base on the process over this issue on school resource officers. Is the proposed discussions with the school district on whether officers should be hired who would have guns to provide security in our schools. So the mayor has asked for some feedback, but I feel that maybe council can just touch on the process a bit under new business later a little bit. And also on the yard debris issue, yes, I think one of the biggest things was the volume issue, because people are putting out sometimes numerous trees. I mean, they're putting out 30 feet worth of stuff, and it's 4 or 5 feet wide into the street. And that has caused a major problem. I think Mayor said at one of our meetings we were more than 100 extra truckloads of yard debris, and that's how they, we're getting behind. It was just working overtime. It's just, I think we need to have a discussion at some point. What's the expectation for what this service, should be? And when people don't abide by when they put it out, then do we need to be more aggressive with fines? But I guess for now, at least if we're going to send out tax bills or other notices, we need to, try and inform people again about there is a schedule, and you can put out your yard debris 1 week prior to the week that it's being picked up. So if everybody would do that, we'd be much better off. Okay? That's it for now.
Okay, thank you.
Listen, can I just answer quickly?
Yes.
The school resource officer is different than the class 3 officer that the school district is talking about.
The
The
class
school
3.
resource officer is paid by the township, it's employed by the township. The class 3 officer decision is made by the school board. The town council has no say in that decision. It's them who decides. The town council, the mayor has the authority to hire the police officers who work in the school district. If it was a school resource officer, it will be in our budget and we will hire it and there's no pass-through cost. So just technical details. I'm not commenting one way or the other. Just setting up the correct terminology and correct expectations.
Right.
It's not a
So,
school
yes.
resource officer.
Yes.
Okay, well,
We'll
this
pick it
is
up later.
why we need to bring this up again later tonight under new business. So, you've heard all about Bike Fest and all about the Farmers Market 15th and all about the Memorial Day Parade and how wonderful they were and how grateful we are to all the people who set them up and organized them and how wonderful they are for our township, giving us a sense of community, a sense of gratitude, and a sense of togetherness. So you don't really have to hear about them from me, too. So I will just mention that La Convivencia, the community organization which exists to bring people together, who gave a presentation in front of this council a few months ago, sponsored a concert this weekend at Prince of Peace Church, and it featured music from different ethnic groups, and it was just fantastic. The talent in this community, ranging from all over the world to all over the world, is just amazing. And I urge you to keep your eye on La Convivencia and the things that they sponsor and the events that they sponsor, as well as all the other wonderful groups who sponsor musical events and artistic events in this town. They're great. Thank you. So what we have next are public hearings for several ordinances. Thank you to Girl Scouts. Thank you for coming. And thank you for listening to all of us, as well as giving us the opportunity to listen to you. So the first one, Sharon, do you want to?
Sure. 2018-15, it's a bond ordinance providing for various capital improvements in and by the Township of West Windsor in the County of Mercer, New Jersey, appropriating $6,011,250, therefore, and authorizing the issuance of $5,725,000, should be a comma, $5,725,000, oh my gosh, $5,725,000 bonds or notes of the township to finance part of the cost thereof. Wow, that was a mouthful.
Well, is there anybody, I'd like to open the public hearing. Is there anybody who wants to speak in the public hearing about this bond ordinance? Seeing nobody, do I have a motion to close the public hearing?
Motion.
Second. Roll call vote?
Baree?
Yes.
Jeevers?
Yes.
Hamilton?
Yes.
Manzari?
Yes.
Miller?
Yes. Do I have a motion to adopt?
So moved.
Second.
Roll call vote?
Baree?
Yes.
Jeevers?
Yes.
Hamilton?
Yes.
Manzari?
Yes.
Miller?
Yes. Next.
Ordinance 2018-16, it's a capital improvement ordinance providing for various capital improvements and other related expenses in and for the Township of West Windsor, County of Mercer, State of New Jersey, appropriating the amount of, this is $535,000.
All right. Anybody, I want to open the public hearing. Anybody want to speak on this ordinance? It has to do, Gesundheit. It has to do with funding for open space preservation and open space maintenance, mostly maintenance. Have to keep that open space maintained. Seeing nobody, move to close the public hearing, anyone?
So moved?
Second.
Roll call vote?
Marie?
Yes.
Jeevers?
Yes.
Hamilton?
Yes.
Manzari?
Yes.
Miller?
Yes. Anyone move to adopt?
So moved.
Thank you.
Second.
Roll call vote?
Marie?
Yes.
Jeevers?
Yes.
Hamilton?
Yes.
Manzari?
Yes.
Miller?
Yes. Okay, we now come to the two ordinances on the Transit Village. Since I have something to read, I might as well take care of this. The first one, 2018-17, is modifying the bulk and use standards of the RP1 zoning district, Block 6, lots 54, 55, 01, 8, and 76. And the second ordinance, 2018-18, is amending the Princeton Junction redevelopment plan by modifying the provisions pertaining to the RP1 zoning district. The ordinances are identical, so I am going to read this once. We are going to be considering the ordinances as modified by these two provisions, which are minimal and do not require any special vote, but which the council has agreed to. Under parking requirements, the ordinance is going to read, the required number of spaces for residential uses excluding townhouses and non-residential uses may be reduced if a shared parking analysis demonstrates to the planning board's satisfaction that a lower number of spaces will be sufficient. And in a later section, it's going to talk about any landscaping that is not resistant to the environment or that dies shall be replaced by the redeveloper in accordance with the maintenance guarantee provisions of the municipal land use law. So the ordinance as published with those two minor modifications will be what we will be discussing now. So I'd like to open the public hearing. We had several people who wanted to speak. Please come to the microphone now.
Hi, so Daniel Weiss, 15 Canoe Brook Drive. I've been a resident of West Windsor for 27 years. I recognize the challenges West Windsor faces regarding our obligation for affordable housing, as well as West Windsor's long and complex history regarding development planning, litigation, settlement agreements, and I know there's no easy solution, and there are numerous constraints in play. However, that being said, I'm disappointed in the revised agreement and the proposed ordinance for the transit village. In my opinion, it's not really a transit village anymore. It's really, with the large reduction in commercial space now, it's really just a large housing development that happens to be in close proximity to a train station. The reduced commercial space, which is now about the size of the Windsor Plaza here located in downtown Princeton Junction, will serve the needs of the new residents in this giant housing development, but will hardly be a draw to the 28,000 people who live in our township, not to mention the reduced commercial ratables due to the downsizing of the space. And furthermore, this space is very isolated, with only a few access roads, so it's very hard to imagine how it will attract people without something very compelling. So where's the movie house? Where's the theater? Where are the bars and entertainment venues? These are the types of establishments that truly creates a vibrant downtown. The current ordinance does not explicitly state the allowance for any bars or any artist or performance spaces. Has there been any engagement with our local arts council, or for that matter, the New Jersey Council for the Arts? Now, don't get me wrong, I would be delighted to see an active commercial district in Princeton Junction, but I think the ordinance as it's written today while a great framework is lacking in the vision that might create an energized downtown area that we all really desire. So I believe additional work is needed to revise the ordinance and plan so that it has the fighting chance of creating a sustainable commercial district. Otherwise, it'll just be a huge drain on our township's infrastructure and schools. I think you can do better. I know you can do better. And we can wait a little longer. We've waited a long time for this. I think we could wait a little longer so you can get it right. So thank you for your attention. Thanks.
Thank you. Next.
Good evening. Richard Kay, 66 Coneflower Lane. It's about the Transit Village. The last edition of the West Windsor Plainsboro News, discussing the new plan, made a statement, I don't know if it's accurate, that's why I'm here, that the commercial space was dramatically reduced. Everything I've heard and been told over the past years is that to the degree that the township can increase ratables on commercial entities, we reduce the potential growth of the tax increase for residential tax. So my question was, if that statement was accurate, why have you agreed to reducing the commercial space as dramatically as the article stated? That's my question. Just as an aside, having nothing to do with this, just as a polite comment back to Mrs. Manzari, I appreciate the comments from all of you about veterans for the holiday and the parade. However, if someone were an individual, male or female, to have been part of the war, of the Civil War, he or she would be over 150 some odd years old, and I don't assume that would be someone marching in the last parade.
No, he was a child when the older folks in the parade had been in the Civil War.
I didn't understand that. That's why my head said,
Yeah.
compute this, and if that person were there, I think we should make an immediate statute.
Hi, all. This is Eileen Green from the West Windsor Arts Council again. And so related to the redevelopment and also kind of piggybacking on what the other gentleman was saying, the Arts Council would like to offer ourselves as a potential partner in this program, and that if there was a desire, obviously, to increase the arts activation of the space, that we are ready and willing to discuss how we can help to achieve those goals.
You should talk to that gentleman sitting there.
Which one? Tell me.
The one smiling.
Okay, there he is. Great, thank you.
Anyone else? Seeing none, do I have a motion to close the public hearing?
So moved?
Second.
Roll call vote?
Bree?
Yes.
Jeevers?
Yes.
Hamilton?
I mean, I heard some issues raised, right?
This is just to close public comment.
Yes, we can close it. Yeah. Oh, we're going to be here a while.
Yes. Manzari?
Yes.
Miller?
Yes. Okay, now, the way the structure of what we do works is we move to adopt, and then instead of going right to a roll call vote, we have a discussion. So do I have a motion to adopt so we can, what, Mike?
I apologize. Just to clarify the record, we are discussing 2018-17. I know they mimic each other, but just for purposes of the vote.
You do one at a time.
For purposes of the vote, we will do one at a time.
Yes.
And we're adopting it as amended per the planning board recommendations and the recommended language changes per council.
Yes,
That is my understanding of the motion.
yes. So we have a motion to adopt, and a second to adopt, so that we can have our conversation, adopt as amended by the planning board and as amended as I read out.
You're asking for the motion?
The motion, yeah.
So moved.
Yeah. Second.
Okay, we now are into discussion. Aisha, you have expressed a wish to discuss.
Yeah, I mean, just a couple of quick comments, right? So the last time we raised these ordinances, I had asked a couple of questions that sort of piggyback with Highland's comment of, yes, we'd like to make sure that the township still has the ability to use this public space. We'd like to understand what the terms and conditions are in using that public space. I have not been given any additional information on that. I certainly understand the need to move forward. I understand that we have compelling reasons here, but Mr. Weiss also raises some really good points. And I sort of feel that things have been moving a little bit quickly. I know that we have been discussing this concept plan for, like 3 years now, and I wasn't happy about the reduced commercial, but, you know, I'm sort of wondering what the hurry is.
All right. Mayor, would you like to address some of the issues
Yeah,
that have come up?
I would like to address the issue, and since I've been discussing project with Avalon, I've been speaking to Mayor Shea, Kamal Khanna, and George Borak, who were originally involved with the project. I had a long discussion with George over the weekend, and just to give you the history, originally when Intercap bought the property, they proposed 1,500 homes for the site. Will Anklowitz was the chairperson at that time, and George was the vice chair at that time. They, along with Mayor Shea, met with Intercap and reduced the 1,500 number to 800 number. The developer sued anyway. At that time, Kamal was the council chair. Kamal, Mayor Shea, and the developer agreed to 800 homes and 70,000 square feet of commercial space. I think Linda was the only one on council at that time who is still here. Yes, the commercial space has been reduced from 70,000 to 37,000, but a hotel has been added. A hotel was never there in the original plan. We don't know what the square foot of the hotel is, but the hotel will generate revenues, one, based on hotel tax paid by everybody outside West Windsor, and second, based on the commercial rateable that the hotel will contribute. Given the change, the original project was done in 2008. Given the change of landscape in retail, it's silly for us to keep insisting that they build a 70,000 square feet, which we know they can't fill. We know based on experience of other things in the mall. You haven't seen the changes yet, but as mayor, I am appraised of who is coming and who is going. And there are several malls we are losing significant tenants simply because of the change in landscape. And if you don't want it, don't shop on Amazon. We can't shop on Amazon and then say, let's build retail outlet. That doesn't work. And one little dirty secret is if it's a retail outlet and the space is not rented, they don't pay taxes same as your home. I mean, if you don't live in a home, doesn't matter. It says the same, you pay the same taxes. Commercial don't pay the same taxes every year based on how much rental income they generate. Their assessments can change. So we have to do whatever is best for West Windsor. And several people are asking me, what's the hurry? The hurry is, the court is holding a gun to my head, figuratively, by September. I have to present a plan to the court by September, how I am going to provide 1,500 homes. If you don't want me to hurry, please go and talk to Murphy. Please go and talk to the legislature. Murphy has been in office over 120-25 days. He has not uttered the words affordable housing. Every other word has been uttered, not affordable housing. And trust me, I met with so many legislators in private, both Democratic and Republican. And everybody in private will tell you, oh, you are doing a great job, keep fighting. They want me to be the first on the beach and get shot. Nobody else wants to get shot. And I don't want to take names publicly, but Democratic mayors in neighboring towns, they will say, yeah, fight, because they can sit back and see the fun, right? But not one person in one legislature has done a thing. So before you ask me what's the hurry, September is the deadline, and if you don't give the plan to the September, the court decides what to do. And there's one big gorilla sitting here, everybody knows who the gorilla is, and I lose control. And when I took office, whether I like it or not, I took office to hold the Constitution of the New Jersey and US. And Mr. Herbert will tell you in private how critical I am of the whole process. This is a charade. This is a disgrace, and it's going to come and bite West Windsor. The state is not growing at 2%, and they expect each township to grow at 20%. Where are these people going to come from? At best, we are going to suck from Hamilton, Ewing, East Windsor, Plainsboro, this and that. And half the builders, you are not listening, will probably go bankrupt. I don't see the town growing 20% in 7 years. It's a disgrace, but it's a disgrace that I have to put up with as a mayor, and these people have to put up with as a council. There's no choice. So you are barking at the wrong tree if you are complaining to the council. They are doing a fabulous job. And this project didn't occur overnight. They were kept abreast of the project as it was going along. It's not that I gave it to them today and asking them vote on it up or down. They have been aware of what is going on. I mean, this has been going on since I was on the council. Mayor Shea got them here. I was on the council, we had a closed session, Mayor Shea got them here. They gave us a plan, and we said, okay, move ahead. And then the affordable housing came up, which forced us with the timing issue. And this is only first among the next 3 are coming. Because I need to reach that magic number of 1,500, unless the court agrees with me. So, if I was starting from scratch, I wouldn't do the project. I'm not starting from scratch. If I had the time luxury, I wouldn't do the project. I don't have that time luxury. I have to do what is best for township. And this is the best deal we can get from township. The builder is taking all the risk. He's paying in escrow to do all the studies. He's paying into everything. Yes, it is going to attract a lot of kids, but that's given because 1,500 dwellings, as I say, are coming, whether we like it or not. It's either here or somewhere else. And those who don't like this project, I just tell you, give me 132 affordable units somewhere else, maybe in your backyard. Then you have every right to say no. And you as a public have a right to say no. I as a mayor don't have the luxury to say no, because I have to say yes to something else. I cannot say no and sit and talk and do nothing. I need those 132 units somewhere. And it's an open secret, everybody knows that. But they still worked with us. Okay, they didn't get everything they wanted, we didn't get everything we wanted. But we came to a compromise which, in my opinion, is best for West Windsor. And if it happens, it will make West Windsor better. I mean, it's going to straighten Washington Road, that's one of the big things. And if Sarnoff is ever developed, we will get that bypass that has been talked about before I was born. So that will happen. So this is the best deal for West Windsor. And please don't go and tell that to Ron. But this is what it is, and we have come a long way. And I have talked to Mayor Shea, he is happy with the deal. I have talked to Kamal, I have talked to George. Those are the 3 people who were involved in the original that I can still communicate with. And each one of them can talk about it, he is the judge. But those are the people who are happy about what's happening.
Well, let me ask a procedural question, Mike, if you'll help me. So some of it is, if we need to be able to show the court that we're complying with the plan, and the plan is due in September, is it sufficient to pass the ordinances and then take a little bit of time to work and make sure that we have a contract that works for us? Is passing the ordinances a sufficient show of good faith?
The courts look at a number of factors through the special master. Our special master is Elizabeth McKenzie. The more you can show the court, the better it is for the town as far as what the town is doing. I was in court today on another town in another county, and that is all the judge wanted to see is, all right, what ordinances have you passed? What contracts have you entered into? What settlement agreements have you entered into? Have you passed a fair share housing element in your master plan? Things like that. The more you can show the court, the better off you are, because if the court finds that you're not acting in good faith, the town can lose its immunity, and we are then open to developer lawsuits.
So we have been acting in good faith. I think substantially West Windsor has
I would argue
done-
strongly to the town that we have.
And we've been
Or to the court.
really working, I think, very hard. West Windsor has over, and Allison can speak to that historically, has been always acting in good faith.
But it's not up to me, it's up to the judge.
And the judge has their own perception of West Windsor, and it's
Correct.
most unfortunate. But I wanted to add to what the mayor has said, and we have people who are not judges, but who are interveners, people who want us to give them more opportunity. And when I talk about opportunity, I'm not just talking about the right to build or the right to build more. I'm talking about the right to build with a lesser quality of life. We are very vigilant in West Windsor about the quality of the developments that we allow. We insist on certain recreation requirements. We insist on sufficient parking. We look at how many garbage pickup places there are in a housing development. We look at the amount of closet space in the design of the apartments. We've got very high standards. We're very picky. But if the court takes away our zoning powers and gives it to the special master, you can say goodbye to bike parking, you can say goodbye to sidewalks, you can say goodbye to closets, you can say goodbye to affordable housing integrated into the community, you can say goodbye to recreation, you can say goodbye to landscaping, you can say goodbye to West Windsor standards. And that's why we have to compromise on something. And if you're a planner like me and you read the planning magazines, you read all about how retail is sick. I won't say dying, but it's sick because of Amazon, because people order online. But we also read that young people like bricks and mortar stores. They like to have the ambiance of a village. And what we have to do, because we're in a lawsuit, as everyone is, over affordable housing, is we have to have a developer-ready, viable project. And if developers come and say 70,000 square feet of retail is absolutely impossible, I cannot do it, I will not do it, then we are vulnerable to losing the affordable housing credits without losing the 800 units which this is already zoned for. So both our mayors, Mayor Shea and then Mayor Marante, and our legal team and our community development officer have done a great job at negotiating what I think is the best deal they could get and a good deal for West Windsor. Yes, it's disappointing that there wasn't more commercial, but this can happen. This can give us 132 affordable units. The old deal had only 98. That's a lot of units that is not going to have to be built somewhere else. And when it comes to details of the agreements on the use of the promenade, that's going to be in the planning board resolution of memorialization, because we have an agreement coming up later on that we will discuss and possibly adopt that says there shall be an agreement between the township and the developer about usage of the promenade. And not only will we have a hotel, think of a hotel there. You don't have to take a car to get there. And you can then take the dinghy into Princeton or the train to New York, Philadelphia, New Brunswick. it could be a really nice central point for people to stay and enjoy central New Jersey. And the hotel tax was mentioned. It's really the most popular kind of tax among us sitting up here. I was sitting up here when we finally got it passed by the state legislature, because it's a tax on foreigners living abroad. So your constituents are not the ones who stay in that hotel, and it's just wonderful. So we could have a really vibrant little village, and it's not that isolated. Well, once it's built, you'll see how close it is to downtown Princeton Junction, where we will be having more retail at Ellsworth Center and other places. So I feel good about this. I don't feel it's ideal. It certainly wouldn't have been what I would have gone for if I could start with a blank slate, just as the mayor said, but you play the hand you're dealt, and you do the best you can, and I think we've done that. I think that both mayors and all the council people have contributed, and I think we've done a good job, and we should vote yes and move on.
Just one clarification. I mean, we are not, they still have to go through in front of the planning board and go through every process that every developer goes through. There's a planning board chair sitting there, one member sitting there, and they take their responsibility very seriously. As Alison said, I mean, Linda talked about garbage pickup for half an hour last meeting. So we, see, they're laughing, but that's true. Yeah, so we take our responsibility very seriously.
Yeah, there's a lot.
So it's not going to be a shoddy work, it's going to be good work keeping up with West Windsor standard. But given the constraints we have to, given the rules we have and the constraints we have to do best for the township.
Thank you. Anyone else want to comment?
Look, I won't go into any detail because I think between Allison and the mayor, a lot of the points were already made. I've been around a long time. I've seen a lot of these different agreements. Things have changed. The world has changed since the last agreement. We're going 12.2% to 16.5% for affordable housing. That's good. The 70,000 square feet retail commercial was at the time probably considered very optimistic, maybe overly optimistic, but that was in writing. So if we go to 37, but we get a hotel, and if this hotel is done right, with restaurant, a bar, even in the upstairs, upper terrace level, there could be some outdoor dining that we have discussed. We want that hotel to hop, right? We could attract people from all the way up and down the northeast corridor. Get here. New York City, come see the Arts Center in Princeton University. You can get on the Dinky. I mean, there's a host of things that can be done. The promenade, right? We're going to have some sort of structure. It could be glass enclosed. I don't know exactly the details. That will be discussed further. I'm sure the Arts Council can talk to the administration, the planning board members, to see what it should be, how it should be, not just for the Arts Center, but because there are many other groups in town that could use this, but what a great attraction for that promenade with the residents, the hotel. We have a great opportunity here if we do this right and we all work together. So we've discussed this in closed session, whatever, openly to to a certain degree. For like 2 years this has been going on. We have to get the ball moving forward on this. I know on the planning board members, many details to this. The applicant comes in and we discuss everything, environmental issues, parking issues, all sorts of things. It's not a one night and done. It will not be. I can promise you that.
Sorry.
We will get to those details and see what works and what changes we have to do. It's just the way these things work. So I think we should move forward now.
I have another question for Mike.
Please, but can we, Virginia or Jodica, if you have a rant that you would like to share with us before Aisha asks her question. If not, then...
I'm fine. Thank you.
I am as well.
Thank you very much. Please.
So just on the planning board issue, if there's something not provided for in this ordinance, or in the agreement where the specifics are, say, for use of the promenade, the terms and conditions, the cost, it's going to be owned by Avalon Bay. And that's sort of where I'm finding there's very little control once this is up and running and built. What is the type of control that the township will have to make sure places like the Arts Council actually get to use this at a reasonable cost or no cost, hopefully, just as a part of a community service. So if it's not included in the ordinance and not included in the contract, but left to this amorphous by the mutual agreement of parties, where does that leave us through the planning board process? Is the planning board able to impose something?
It is. The planning board, what normally happens, as you know, I represent a lot of planning boards as well, what normally happens is that the township engineer and planner will review what occurs today, concerns that were stated in other hearings. They will prepare a memorandum for the planning board. The planning board will review that memorandum. The members, you have members here tonight, Linda and the chairman is here. They will bring those matters up. They will be placed upon the record. The applicant will have the choice whether to agree or not. If they don't agree, they could have the requirements imposed upon them as part of any approval, or the project could get denied. That whatever is agreed to before the planning board is placed into a developer's agreement with the township. That developer's agreement can come back here for your review and approval as well.
So the agreement that we'll be voting on later today would still be subject to the planning board's changes?
Of course. That's why you have the planning board hearing, and that's why you have a division of labor here in municipal townships. The zoning board hears appeals of an interpretation as to how the zoning should be imposed upon an application. The planning board hears how a project would work, whether it be a subdivision or a site plan or both, variances that could occur in that. I mean, you may have variances from what occurs here tonight that would have to be proven. But a very intense and particular record is made before these bodies because they have some experience and expertise in land use, and that they can produce a record, a resolution, and again, you have an excellent planning board attorney and an excellent zoning board attorney in this township, very lucky, in that they will make a very specific and particular resolution, and that is also turned into a developer's agreement, which is a contract between the developer and the township as to how a site is developed. If they don't do it in that way, they can have their approval pulled, or the developer's agreement can be enforced.
I really appreciate your guidance on this, and that's where a lot of my hesitance has come from and my discomfort, because I am not a planning official, nor have I been trained in planning issues other than like a half-day seminar I went to. Allison has an advantage over us, but most of us are not in that field.
Well, I don't quite have Allison's advantage, but I get to go home every night to a planner who beats it into my head.
I've been very uncomfortable that I haven't had guidance from the planning board on some of these issues, but I'm happy to hear that there will be further guidance.
And I still threaten every day to try to maybe go back to planning school and get my planner's license as well, but that's down the road.
Thanks, Mike.
You mean you can't get a PP with a lawyer's?
Yeah.
I mean,
those are the best
you can
lawyers.
get a professional planner from the state of New Jersey if you have the landscape architect, engineer, all sorts of things. I have the American Planners Association.
Yeah, and that's what I would, if I ever went back, that's what I would want.
Oh, well,
Kind of
that'll
crazy
take
to go
time.
back. It takes time, yeah.
Yes. Okay, so are we now ready to vote on ordinance 2018-17? Do I have a motion to adopt? We had a motion to adopt, so can we have a roll call vote?
As amended.
As amended.
As amended.
Yes.
Bree?
Yes.
Jeevers?
Yes.
Hamilton?
Yes.
Manzari?
Yes.
Miller?
Yes. Okay, we've passed that one. Now we have the public hearing for 2018-18, which is the same words as 2018-17, but it's modifying the redevelopment plan, which is a different part of our code book. So anybody want to say more about the Transit Village by participating in this public hearing? Seeing none, do I have a motion to close the public hearing?
So moved.
Second.
Roll call vote?
Bree?
Yes.
Jeevers?
Yes.
Hamilton?
Yes.
Manzari?
Yes.
Miller?
Yes. Do I have a motion to adopt?
So moved.
Second.
With the amendments.
As amended?
As amended.
Want to as amended, then say it again. So
Motion
it's
to approve as amended.
Make sure it says.
Motion to approve as amended.
Second.
All right, do we have any further comments from council, or can we move to a roll call vote?
Bree?
Yes.
Jeevers?
Yes.
Hamilton?
Yes.
Manzari?
Yes.
Miller?
Yes. Thank you, everyone. Hard work rewarded. Okay, consent agenda?
Resolution 2018 R131 is the refund of overpaid property taxes. Minutes of April 23rd, 2018, business session as amended. May 7th, 2018, business session as amended, and May 7th, 2018, closed session as amended. Bills and claims.
Anybody want to pull anything from this? Do I have a motion to adopt the consent agenda?
So moved.
Second.
Roll call vote?
Bree?
Yes.
Jeevers?
Yes.
Hamilton?
Yes.
Manzari?
Yes.
Miller?
Yes. Recommendations from administration and council and clerk.
Resolution 2018 R132 is authorizing the full release of inspection fees for Selco Partnership, which is Planning Board 0112, and the amount is $7,164.69. Resolution 2018 R133 granting the request for a full release of performance guarantees for Tyco Management LLC for the cafeteria and the walkway project at 7 and 9 Roselle Road, PB 1006. Resolution R134 authorizing the mayor and clerk to execute a professional service agreement for miscellaneous engineering services to Alamo Group, $475. Resolution 2018 R135 authorizing the mayor and clerk to execute the right-of-way use agreement with Selco Partnership, who is doing business as Verizon Wireless. Resolution 2018 R136 authorizing the mayor and clerk to execute a settlement agreement and a redevelopers agreement between West Windsor Township and Avalon Watch LLC. 2018.
Sharon, excuse me, it should be Avalon Bay. Isn't Avalon Watch? Oh, okay, Avalon Watch.
It's an LLC that is part of
Yeah, it's
Avalon.
part of Avalon Bay. Okay.
There's a number of different entities.
Okay, thank you, sorry.
And
Good question.
Okay, in 2018, R137 is the renewal of the alcoholic beverage licenses for the calendar year 2018-2019 licensing term.
Okay, anybody want to pull anything, including R136, the redevelopers agreement?
I have a couple of questions for
Yeah.
R136.
Okay, so we're going to pull 136. Do I have a motion for 132, 3, 4, 5, and 7?
So moved. Second.
I love it. Roll call vote?
Bree?
Yes.
Jeevers?
Yes.
Hamilton?
Yes.
Manzari?
Yes.
Miller?
Yes. Okay, so Jodica, can you ask your questions about 136?
Okay. Can you, one of you talk a little bit about the process whereby the township will get approvals from Mercer County for realignment of Washington Road and the clause that requires us to have documents ready to view within 45 days of signing the agreement? What documents are they referring to, and is that a significant time period to get them?
I mean, a few people, including John Church, has been asking those questions, and we need to talk to NJ Transit, we need to talk to Amtrak, we need to talk to Mercer County, but they won't talk to us unless they know that the council is supportive of the project. So unless you, it's catch-22, unless you vote and approve on the project, they won't talk to you. They feel they may be wasting their time if they work with us and then the council says thumbs down. So starting tomorrow, I mean, we already had a preliminary meeting with the county, and the county is well aware of what is being planned for this location. But as I said before, Avalon will put money in the escrow account. Our traffic engineer will start doing studies, and then we'll meet with the county, we'll meet with the SRI folks, we'll meet with NJ Transit to start planning the detailed work on the project. So.
Okay. Yeah, that's a very good point.
Yeah, and just so you understand, the freeholders and the county want to see a resolution from the council. They don't even look at anything until they see a resolution.
That's the point. We have to act, or they won't.
They won't touch it.
Right. Aisha, you have other questions?
Yeah. Sorry. Okay, so looking over at page 210 of our packet, Mike, paragraph 11, I just want to confirm that this language that says the parties agree to cooperate to develop reasonable rules and regulations to govern and provide programming for the public use of the promenade, that's, when we talk about parties and developing reasonable rules, we're talking about the planning board process.
Yes.
Okay.
And that'll be part of the planning board process. Again, this document will be included as part of the presentation before the planning board. This document will be reviewed there and then incorporated into any decision that they make. Of course,
But this document, right, doesn't give me any information at all about the rules
No,
on
that'll be
the use of the
developed,
public
that'll
process.
be developed as part of the planning board process and then also incorporated into a developer's agreement.
Perfect. And then just going to the next page, paragraph 12, the phasing of the affordable housing units. I'm not entirely sure what that means. It references Exhibit G, and Exhibit G is basically just sort of they'll be built
Sure.
by this time, but...
What occurs with affordable housing, and, you know, when we put together our plan, there are certain regulations we have to comply with as a township, and so does the developer. And that has to do with phasing. When you put in, and of course, you've got different units. You've got moderate, low, very low, 3, 2, 1 bedroom. There are many different types of units, and there's a whole chart, there's a whole way of steps that you must take. So the developer, in order to build regular market rate units, also has to build a certain number of affordable units at certain levels and in a certain phasing in. And
So
that-
let me stop you. So Exhibit G only gives me the amount, the percentages that
Correct.
will be built correspondingly, and that's
Correct.
fine.
Right.
That's really helpful.
But the regulations will regulate how it's all done and how it's all phased. And that'll also be in front of the planning board, and the presentation be part of the planning board, saying how it will occur, and it'll be incorporated into the resolution and the developer's agreement.
So one of the things that I know is very important to West Windsor is that the affordable housing units be integrated.
Absolutely.
Now, maybe I missed it in this agreement, but I don't see a specific reference to the integration.
That's done in the planning board process. Again, there have been a number of applications in front of the planning board. There's no regulation here, and I would not suggest it be here, but the planning board has done a very good job of making sure they're integrated. And most developers know that, you know, that a township that is enlightened as West Windsor, there are a couple of other towns that are similar, but West Windsor is very enlightened in this process, and the integration is very important. I have family members that are in these types of units, and it is seamless, and really, I think it's something that should be applauded.
And it's very important to us, you know, from a council perspective, from a township perspective. Is there any room for the developer to say, well, that's not required by your ordinance or our developer's agreement, so we don't have to do it?
It is argued constantly by developers in front of my boards, and they lose every time. The courts have supported the town's right to require this type of integration. And really, it goes back to, we all carp about fair share and that they imposing so many units on us and so forth, but Fair Share Housing Corporation wants to see it as well. You know, unless it's an 100% affordable project, they want to see the incorporation as well, because that way these units work, that way these units are purchased and exchanged, and they're not left to lie fallow.
Okay.
That is our ordinance.
I'm sorry?
It is part of our ordinances that we do integrate it.
Yes.
And I believe somewhere I
There are-
saw the
there are-
integration.
we do have regulations,
Yes,
yeah.
We mentioned that in one of the...
That is correct.
I just want to point out, the reason why we have to have that paragraph about a phasing of affordable units is because it's not a question of phasing throughout the whole project. Each residential component, and there are three, there's the townhouse component, the apartment component, and the senior component, and the affordables within each phase must be phased in appropriately according to the regulations. But the percentages might not work out if, say, the apartment component is built years before the townhouse component, and this covers the affordables just having a percentage
Correct.
with the kind of unit that they are.
That is correct.
And
This is why I asked the questions. I'm not a
I
planner.
understand.
Right, and the Affordable Housing Committee also often gets the applications, and they will review it to give their input.
True.
And they don't have a vote, but they at least they can give the input. Planning Board, as long as I've been on 5 years on and off, is very sensitive to this.
It is.
And that's the way we like to do business in West Windsor, is to
No,
integrate.
these are all excellent questions, and the great thing is we have people up here, too, that have a lot of experience in this area and have a lot of knowledge, and, it's really good to have the good and take here on the record.
Just two things. On the promenade, it does say the parties agree to cooperate to develop reasonable rules and regulations, and that will be in the planning board resolution of memorialization. But if there's no agreement about specific rules and regulations, it says the promenade will be owned and maintained by Avalon Bay, but shall be open to the public, subject to the foregoing rules and regulations, so that they can't shut the public out.
No, but the
So-
language in its circular way is not helpful, to the extent that it's saying, well, it's subject to the rules and regulations, but if we can't agree to rules and regulations, it's subject to the rules and regulations, which is why I asked the question.
But that's what the planning board
Yeah.
will take care
Yeah,
of.
and I've developed this kind of language many times. It's done to provide flexibility, because as these projects go along, they change, and you have to have the flexibility to go before the planning board. Now, once the planning board rules upon it, whatever their ruling is, then it's more static, and in order to change it, they'd have to go back to the planning board, but
I just
until they
wanted
get
a better
there-
understanding of
Sure,
who exactly is going to have to cooperate to discuss
Right,
that.
right. But you
And
need that-
at what stage.
Right, you need to have that flexibility, due to financing, due to engineering, due to planning. There are many different aspects that have to be dealt with here by not to defend the developer, I don't do that, but the developer does have to have some reasonable accommodation.
There is one other thing, though, Mike. We have our own standards, and they're not subject to fair share housing standards,
Correct.
which may very well be quite different.
They are.
So, do we have any other discussion? Do we have a motion to approve 2018 R-136?
So moved.
Second.
Roll call vote?
Bree?
Yes.
Jeevers?
Yes.
Hamilton?
Yes.
Manzari?
Yes.
Miller?
Yes. Thank you. We have no introduction of ordinances, but we do have additional public comment. Please, on any subject whatsoever?
Any subject?
Any subject whatsoever. Please come forward.
It's not related to anything you guys were talking about.
Well, that's why we say any subject.
Do you want to talk about the Yankees? Talk about the Yankees.
No. Anyway, Veronica Mina, 41 Galston Drive. I am very concerned about the presentation that Mr. Adderhall gave back on May 21st. Basically, his presentation was about a school resource officers, class 3, and as I emailed you all today, that presentation, he based it off New Jersey School Board Association, How to Keep Schools Safe, that was
task force that Governor Christie asked back in 2014. So as you know, there's 4 years difference. Basically, in that, I don't know if you had the chance to look at it, but in that final report, they were saying that, for example, for school resource officers, it was important to be informal counselors. So I always wondered what exactly that meant, informal counselors. So basically what it means is that they can assess the psychic of any student and recommend that student for any type of services. However, what I thought it was the most important thing is that for that law enforcement or that class 3 type of police officer to be an SRO has to complete the SRO training within 12 months of appointment. So basically, once again, we are saying that these informal counselors can come to our schools, however, the training has to be completed within 12 months of their appointment, which makes no sense. West Windsor and Plainsboro are not violent towns. The crime, thank God, in our towns is pretty low. So we can have these SROs from anywhere from New Jersey, because they don't have to be, I mean, it would be ideal if they are retired West Windsor police officers, but it could be from anywhere in New Jersey. So here you have somebody that maybe was a police officer in Camden, or in Trenton, or in Newark, that they have some sort of like roughness, and they come to our schools, and they continue with that roughness with our students, because legally, they have to receive the training within 12 months of their appointment. And that really scary, very scary. The other thing that I have been doing a lot of research, and I would like to read something to you, is school resource officers are supposed to foster exactly what many civil rights groups are campaigning for: better relations between law enforcement and citizens, particularly minorities and low-income families. In practice, some say they're worsening the situation, facilitating the school-to-prison pipeline, rather than curbing it, thanks to inconsistent training models and lack of clear standards. That is ridiculous. We cannot put guns where elementary students are, that they have inconsistent models and that they're not clear standards. As you know, I have very young kids. My oldest one is finishing 2nd grade and my twins are in kindergarten. My oldest one is already having panic attacks just thinking that the police is there, and he asked me yesterday, "Mom, is the police going to shoot me?" And of course I know that the police is not going to shoot my son, but just the fact that an 8-year-old has those types of thoughts is ridiculous. This is America. In America, kids go to school, and of course we want them to come back. But when I hear their safety is my priority, I want also to those people that they say their safety is my priority for the students, to understand that students also are having panic attacks, are having anxiety, and there is no way that there is a link in research that says the school resource officers being in a school will minimize the shooting. We have the example of Parkland, Florida. There was a school resource officer there, and 17 students died. And there was also the Texas shooting, where there was a school resource officer, actually 2. One of them was wounded, and still 10 students died. So I urge you to not vote for having guns in schools. It is ridiculous. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Yes.
Paul Pitlock, 69 Rainflower. Thank you, Mayor, for your good wishes. At my age, sometimes we want to forget our age, so...
Young 89.
Not quite. Not quite there. I'd like to comment on what's being spoken about as school officers. I can speak from my own experience. I was a dean of students at a major high school in New York City for 16 years. And we employed a police officer who was extremely helpful in terms of various problems that we had. For example, at that time, of course, we were an urban school, so we're very different from schools here, but still the officer was extremely helpful to us in maintaining the peace of the school and also as an adjunct of the faculty. He was assigned by the local police precinct. He was chosen by the Board of Education, as well as our administration, as well as the police. And he did various things. For example, at that time, we had a problem of bomb scares. How helpful was this police officer in terms of that problem? He was extremely helpful in search procedures. He knew exactly how to handle it. He was chosen as a police officer that could very well react to the students. I can speak from personal experience that a police officer is extremely valuable, especially in a situation where we have danger. Now, I agree that we are not in the same, at DeWitt Clinton High School in the Bronx was not like West Windsor. But there are similarities, and there are things that police can do for us that will be extremely helpful. Now, I spoke to Dr. Adderholt, and I shared with him my experience, much more than I'm sharing with you. And he does agree at this point that a police officer would be extremely helpful in our situation. So I want you to consider that very carefully. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Anyone else? Please come forward.
Richard Kay, 66 Coneflower Lane. I had the privilege of being on the board for 9 years. I sat on that board with the mayor of the town when he was the president of that board. The training that the school system does for all of its employees is quite extraordinarily good. It's not slipshod in any way. I was the principal of the school in Middlesex County that became the trial balloon for how schools would respond if, heaven forbid, there were an active shooter in the building. I was told to report to my office on a Saturday morning with the administrative staff of my school. And from the moment I was in my office, I was told, you will get a telephone call, do what you believe you have to do, and we will tape everything. So the call came. There were 4 of us administrators in the building. At that time, we did not have an assigned police assistant officer. We were taped. I did things I never knew I'd have to do, like how to go to a door of a classroom and roll under the door so nobody inside could see me, etc., etc. And then after an hour and a half of going through this, whatever we did from what we believed we were trained to do and what we thought was best practice, we sat with all the police people in the county and SWAT teams that came in from across the state, and we debriefed. It was quite an extraordinary moment in my career. All I can tell you is, I know there'll be positions on both sides of the issue. I have great respect for the superintendent of schools. I have great respect for the administrative staff of that district. I've worked with them for 9 years, and as a professional, not only did I look as a layperson, but I could look from my experience of what I know is best practice, how they did, what they did, etc. If they recommend this, it will not be a casual decision. It will be a very thoughtful decision with careful guidelines of what are we looking for in such a person? What are the agreements we make when he or she comes as to how they are trained? What are the agreements we have if he or she is not the right fit? Because there's no guarantee that everyone coming is initially the right fit, just like there's no guarantee when you and I go to a family doctor the first time and decide, I'd like to be a patient here. Sometimes after a few months you say, this may not be the right place for me. I choose to look elsewhere. The school system will want to know, what do we do if it's a person that's not the right fit for our community, with our staff and our children? Those are all appropriate questions that they will go through. I would urge you to the degree that you need to by law, look at the process. See if they've laid out the correct questions. If there are other things that you believe should be asked, give that appropriately to the superintendent, who is able to listen and will take all that information back to his staff for careful consideration. This is not a capricious decision. There'll be some people who feel we need the help. There are some that say, and I respect what the person said, elementary children will be frightened. Elementary children have to be taught. There are police people in our communities now that are here to help. They may carry something with them called a gun. They are trained how to use it, when to use it, why to use it. And we have to help kids understand that doesn't mean that you should be frightened of them. They are there to help you. I can tell you lastly that when we had the school officers in my high school, the individuals became very, very important, as Paul said. Kids got more comfortable knowing so-and-so is here as part of our building. And you could begin to see children go and say, I have a question, I have a concern, I'm worried about, and sometimes they would tell that person something they might not tell a guidance counselor, and that person became another member of the staff, gathering information that came to him or to her, bringing it to the building properly so that everyone could sit together and say, this is what we heard, what do we do? The final analysis, he or she has to come wanting to be part of that staff, be brought into that staff with the proper safeguards. And in today's world, I think what the bottom line is, people are concerned, should we not consider this? And heaven forbid something happens. You don't want a moment of saying we should have. On the other hand, you don't give blanket yes without carefully looking at the procedures and the safeguards. So, again, I respect that staff. I worked with them for 9 years. They earned my respect as a professional colleague. Ask them good questions. We all have a right to do that as the public. I believe you will be comfortable that you will get highly professional answers. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Seeing none, we're up to council reports. Linda?
The planning board has held 2 meetings on the Woodstone application. We'll have the 3rd meeting this Wednesday, 7 p.m., June 13th. Has 443 residential rental units. It's at the end of Wheeler Way and Canal Point Boulevard, 20% set aside for affordable housing.
Okay. Aisha?
Thank you. The emergency services meeting was on May 30th. A big shout out to Jim Yates. He's our Director of Emergency Services and Public Safety. He was just named as the President of the Eastern Division of the International Association of Firefighters, or Fire Chiefs, which I hear is a pretty big deal. He also at the meeting talked about a very significant fire that took place at the Mews. Both fire companies were able to work very quickly, responded very quickly to be able to make sure there were no fatalities, make sure there was not a significant loss of property and building. And he said it was really quite amazing. Our police chief asked that everyone in town should really be signed up for Nixle reports. So if you go on the West Windsor Police Department's website, it's actually a very quick and easy thing to do. Nixle will let you know which roads to avoid when there's flooding, which roads to avoid when there's a police accident. Unfortunately, we've had some fairly significant accidents that have then ended up shutting roads for investigations. So this is really useful information. It can go to your text message, your email, however you want it, but it's good information to have. And just on a final note, as we're really talking about fundraising for charities in town, please don't forget your fire departments. Only about 8 to 10% of the households in West Windsor donate to the fire departments, and they are fully volunteer. We only have 2 career service fire fighters. So they need our money. And so if everyone in town, every one of our 9 or 10,000 households sent a $10 check, you'd have them really well covered, and they wouldn't be having to make decisions about who gets the training and what kind of equipment they buy or whether they can afford uniforms or not. So please keep them in your mind. Thank you.
Thank you. Jodica?
I have nothing to report today.
Virginia?
I have nothing either.
The Affordable Housing Committee met, and we started to begin to commence a discussion about possible requalifying of affordable tenants. Gesundheit.
Thank you. Sorry.
Because there are cases where people qualify for affordable housing and never leave, even though they would no longer qualify after a certain amount of time. But the logistics of requalifying every time a lease is up and the expense is enormous. So it's a discussion that we are beginning, and we will eventually make a recommendation to the mayor and council. We also took a quick look at the Woodstone development, which finally gave us floor plans. And earlier in this discussion today, I was talking about lower standards for affordable housing, and the 3-bedroom units in Woodstone that are affordable have 1 bathroom, while the 3-bedroom units that are market rate have 2. Enough said. Administration updates?
Oh, the new business.
Yes, I just thought administration would come first,
Okay,
but
they
we,
can. Well, it's under this.
can we do that before new business, just whatever updates you have?
I have nothing.
You can do that.
Okay, so under new business, we wanted to discuss this issue of the school resource officers. Now, Himmat, you were going to clarify for us, we have to do something. We have to vote on something. If you'd like to clarify to us exactly what we have to vote on, because we cannot be told, somebody made a decision, you have to say yes. We need the information to make an informed decision, and we don't have it yet.
That's why I would like to point out to Linda and Veronica, the terminology is important. The school resource officer is an officer employed by the township. So we would hire the officer and we would place it in individual schools. So it will be paid through municipal budget and by municipal taxes. That's not what we are talking about. The request for officers didn't originate with the mayor or the administration. This is what the school board has been talking about, and I don't attend school meetings, so I don't know how long they've been talking about it, but it's something called a Class 3 officer. That's a special program signed into law by Governor Christie, which allows the school district to employ part-time officers. The officers will be employed by the township. They are a part of the regular township police force, so they are hired by the township, but they work exclusively in schools. So they cannot stop you on the road and give you a ticket. They have no authority to do anything outside of school. Let me just finish everything, then you can ask questions. And again, this is based on my information, because again, as I said, this did not originate from me. So what is now happening is that what is required under the Class 3 officers is, it's a shared service agreement. So the school district will sign a shared service agreement with the township. The township will have to, the council will vote on the shared service agreement, and if the shared service agreement is accepted, then the council will vote on hiring individual police officers, just like you would vote on hiring any individual police officers. That is your extent of your responsibility, and that is your input into the process. I've talked to the police chief at length. We have had a lot of discussions with the police chief. If the program moves forward, if the council approves the shared service agreement, we are not going to compromise our standards. We are going to hire people who will fit into West Windsor Police Department, who would be considered West Windsor Police Department. Now, one of the concerns the chief has is that the class 3 officer standard is very strict. You have to be retired for at least 6 months, but you cannot be retired for more than 3 years. And since a lot of school districts are looking for them, we are afraid we may not be able to find enough officers to house every school. Now, some people have said, why don't you phase it in? Again, that's not my decision. But whether the superintendent likes it or not, the chief has openly said it's unlikely he will be happy if he finds 1 or 2 people who fit our mode, fit our brand, and are employable by West Windsor Police Department. Nobody is going to put pressure on us to hire bodies because we need bodies. It's not going to be like that if the program moves forward. I spoke to the superintendent too, and what I would suggest is somehow council engage the superintendent, maybe call him at the next meeting for a presentation and ask him all the questions that you have. My involvement in the program is, if the program is approved by the council, I have to approve hiring of a police officer. That's my responsibility, and I take it very seriously.
You meant if the program is approved by the BOE, then the council has to approve the...
No, the council does not have to approve something because another body approves it.
I'm sorry. If the BOE approves the project, then we get the shared services agreement to approve or not approve. That's the extent of our decision.
Correct.
So
can I just
first
clarify
they ask,
timing?
And we
Right.
all have something that we want to say. First, the process is the BOE has to vote. Only if they approve the project does it come to us in a shared services agreement.
Yes, but what I would...
But we have to be prepared, and I would very much like to set up a meeting whereby Dr. Adderhold came to one of our meetings so that we can have a back and forth and actually ask questions of someone who knows the answers.
Right, and what I have told him and what I will tell you also is, I would prefer before the BOE votes on it, you have some sort of understanding that what you expect out of a program or whether you want a program or not. I don't want it to happen that the BOE votes on a resolution and then you start saying, hey, I don't like clause C, and just there's a period missing, right? Because it's a waste of their time, it's a waste of your time. And it's a little more complicated because I would expect whatever we sign, Plainsboro would sign exactly similar resolution or a similar agreement. I would expect that. So I would prefer if you talk to, or if you find a process that 5 of you feel comfortable with, get that to Adderhold either here or go to a school board meeting, make a case there, and come to some kind of agreement.
Well, that sounds like a very good idea, but I think we should have him come here because we don't have the right to monopolize the school board.
I don't have to answer questions, so it's better if he's here.
So I have a legal question, and I guess maybe Mike can help us with this, or Mayor, maybe you've already asked Dr. Adderhold. What happens if Plainsboro approves, but we do not?
Of the police officers?
I can answer that because we have talked about it. See, because we are in different counties governed by different prosecutors, West Windsor officer cannot go into Plainsboro school. A Plainsboro officer cannot go into West Windsor school.
Okay.
So if Plainsboro approves, we don't approve, the 5 schools in Plainsboro will have a police officer, 5 schools in West Windsor will not have a police officer.
That is correct.
Yeah.
What about liability issues? What if one of these resource officers or police officers, Class 3, was not yet fully trained to understand that there are autistic teenagers who do not obey orders, and the teenager gets hurt? Who is liable?
Well, you'd have dual liability between both the township and the schools. The schools would be liable for how they handle the regulatory measures for the police officers, and the township would be liable for lack of training.
Would there be an ability to have the schools indemnify and defend us?
Sure, you can get an agreement.
The sample budget that I sent you has money for paying township for insurance cost, I believe.
Right, that's for the actual policy cost, right, the premium.
Right.
But I would like to see an indemnification agreement that says
Yeah, but I
they'll
mean,
protect us.
as a taxpayer, the way I see it is whether the school pays or the township pays, it's either my right pocket or my left pocket. So, I mean, I don't want to pay, but the payment issue is less critical because you are going to pay anyway.
Yeah, well, they
Whether-
get 65% of the taxes or, you know, some significant amount. We get 15% to work with. I would like to not be spreading that 15% on school
I
responsibilities.
mean, since we are on camera, there's some things I don't want to say,
Well, I'd like, you know, in preparation, if we're going to have this type of meeting, to know all of the
Your
costs.
position is the worst, I can't hear you.
Oh, hello. Yeah, it must be allergy. I'd like to know all of the costs, the breakdown. Salary, is there any benefits involved or no benefits at all? What about uniforms, anything, any, and
okay.
what about our police chief's time or anyone else's
Okay,
time
that
on this?
if you-
Does that get charged to the school district?
Again, I mean, I'm just giving you the information, I'm not saying, the budget I send you, first thing, is they will work roughly 27.5 hours, so they don't qualify under the Affordable Care Act. The Class 3 officer law gives you ability to not offer them benefits, but the affordable housing, affordable care law requires benefit if you work 30 hours. So first is if the schedule I sent you, they work for 27.5 hours, so they don't get benefits. The budget shows the total cost of salary, the total cost of, the cost of supervising them. There's an item there, supervising them, the cost of training, the cost of uniform, that's all is included in there. Again, this is just pass-through information from the school district to you.
Well, and they also said that it's impossible to hire 12 officers for, you know, in total. Okay, so it's going to be 5 or 6. It'll be 1 at each school and 2 on different shifts at each high school. And it has sounded like they're not going to be able to do all this by September. Why not do a pilot? Why not pick a grade level? High school, middle school. Implement it. Let's see how this works, because we can probably find 2 good people.
See, that's
officers to do
a
this.
question
And
for the
let's take
superintendent.
that little step, because
That-
we're not going to be able to do it.
Well, that's
I mean,
why we
I'm-
have to
You know,
have
be
the
too ambitious.
superintendent here to talk
If we
to.
were to do it, I'm not saying we would, but, I mean,
Our chief has told the superintendent that it's difficult to hire. He doesn't envision being able to hire 6 people by September, or even 2 people by September. Because one of the things that chief and I have talked about repeatedly is that we will not sacrifice our standards. And one of the things, again, chief will, if you talk to him, he will tell you that police are in school all the time anyway. You don't just know about it. And when they are in school, they're carrying guns.
but they're already doing that. Some of the officers are already coming in and,
You don't know about it, and they don't
Right.
publicize it that we are going to school. So various officers are in school during various times in a day, but you don't know about it. So this officer is not going to be any different in the sense that he's going to be there, he's going to be with a gun, just like the current police officer is there. It's just that you are going to know that somebody is going to be there 100% of the time. Right now, it's not 100% of the time.
I assume that that officer that's going in now, you know, in and out, like the part-time regular officer would replace that officer so that there's not...
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, the overlap, I'm
Yes,
saying.
yes. I mean, that is going to happen. But when the chiefs go to all the events, school events, they are there sort of a protection too. So it's just that police, you don't see the police in that light when the chief comes to a science fair. You don't see him in that light that, oh, there's a police in school, but he will tell you he is there exactly the same way as an officer will be there during a school day. So I know people are very worried, people are very concerned, these are very legitimate concerns, but it's not something you are starting completely new. It's not that police have never been in school.
Right, but this is a new initiative.
New
And a lot of
initiative,
people-
it's
I-
there
I went to a
100% of
school
the
board meeting
time.
when they discussed this, there's not a lot of parents, so they're just sort of waking up to this issue, like this is actively happening, and it's a real possibility, so...
No, which is...
Want to engage the community too.
Which is very true.
Educate them, there's a comfort level, some people absolutely don't want it, some people want it.
But the
So
point
we'll see
is,
where we are with this.
if we can have Dr. Adderhold come here for a meeting with us, our public can be here and make comments as they always do, and we can ask our questions without forcing the mayor to be a middleman.
I mean,
which,
I will answer whatever questions I have, but the decision is
Yes,
not mine.
that's the point. I mean, I am very much interested in what is the training that these police officers receive to make them able to deal with volatile teenagers and some damaged teenagers. I want to know. I want to feel a comfort level. I'm less scared of how they would react in an elementary school, because those children really aren't going to seem dangerous to anyone. I mean, they're 5 and 6, and I don't think any police officer is scared of little kids. So I think we should speak to Dr. Adderhold. We've been given we'll have a little more public comment because I think it's appropriate. But what Veronica had sent around, we've seen that. We've seen what Hemant sent around, and we can have it all in front of us so that we know what questions. I mean, we've gone through agreements before with our little highlighting, and each one of us highlights something slightly different, so we can do the same thing with Dr. Adderhold.
Is that going to be let's say we meet next Monday night?
Well, let's...
Something like that. Is that a public document?
Wait
What we received, is that a public document? No, right, because there's a negotiation going on.
That's they're deliberating. I mean, Marlena and Joanne are going to meet with Dr. Adderhold tomorrow again. The chief meets with...
I'm there to listen.
Yeah. So, I mean, you can have meeting anytime you want. I don't control that. You can have meeting next Monday, you can have meeting tomorrow. As long as Dr. Adderhold agrees and you 5 agree, you can have meeting whenever you want.
I would think that he's looking to hire officers so that they're ready for...
He can't hire officers.
He can't, but they want the agreement in place.
What you're
in
saying,
time
Linda,
to-
is
for the-
that
to move
he
forward on
has
their
a
initiative.
feeling of urgency, so he would like to meet with us.
Well, I think he
But do we want to ask him, does everybody have next Monday open, in case that's a good time for a special meeting? Because if not, then we will try to get him to come to our next council meeting. Did Marlena, Sharon, or does the next council meeting agenda look long and complicated?
I can't comment.
We don't know yet?
Right now, we don't have a whole lot, but
Yeah. Well, then, why don't we aim for the next council meeting, because that's already announced, and it gives him time, and we will ask him if he can come. And if he can't make it then we will, not now, but through emails, put together a special meeting time.
Well, Allison, just as you mentioned, if when you extend the invitation to him to come and speak, if you would really have him provide us with information that you had, talked about, the training, so I would like to certainly be able to review it ahead of time. I'm sure the public would like to be able to review it.
We will ask him for information to be provided ahead of time. We are not interested in a PowerPoint with information because we've already seen certain information, and we will have questions.
Yeah, and I would recommend that everybody watch the video of the presentation that they already did, so that I don't want duplicative information. I don't want that same presentation made here.
I think that presentation is online.
It is.
Yes.
It is.
I asked Gay, I talked to Allison and Gay about that, to send it around to us to get that.
And you told me that it's available as a discrete presentation, not as part of the whole meeting.
Just to that point, I record and post the whole meeting but that separate discussion about the Class 3 officers is a standalone by itself. It's about an hour.
Okay, so...
You can watch it on the district website.
But that's not what I want. I don't want a rehash of that information.
Exactly. So we will tell him, we will tell him when we invite him, we have all seen this. It does not answer all our questions.
See, but it would be better if you channel your questions to Allison and she sends in questions ahead of time. The same thing I ask you, send me questions ahead of time.
Yeah, I mean, I will have questions. Allison has outlined an excellent slate of information that we would need, but I will have questions.
Yeah. No, but it's better if you send, then if research needs to be done, research needs to be done.
If everybody sends me something, within this week, not by tomorrow, but by next weekend, I will put it together. I think I have half a day free on one of those days to put it together and get it to Sharon, who can share it with Dr. Adderholt.
And I would recommend seeing that presentation before.
Yes, we will all see that
questions.
presentation.
Maybe the police chief should be here too. I mean, it's...
We will invite the police chief.
And invite the school board members, just so they're aware of it.
The school board
Just
members should be made
aware of it.
aware that we are doing this, and we will tell them that they are welcome to come.
Representatives from both the police forces were at that meeting and
Yes.
part of the presentation.
Yeah, the police chief of Plainsboro was there, and Lieutenant was...
I am not going, I would like very much to have our police chief there. I would be delighted if the police chief from Plainsboro felt it important enough to show up, but I can't just ask him.
Our police chief is not in town on 25th.
Well, then we'll have to have Lieutenant Lee, who is the administrative lieutenant.
He was actually there at that meeting.
Yes, I
Jelinski.
I heard. So, and if we have more ideas for who should be invited and how they should be invited, let me know, let Sharon know. And I think that because of the sensitivity of this discussion, we have members of the public who wish to speak again. Please come up, and please be brief, but please come up. Yes, please. We have you and Veronica both wish to say something. I'd rather listen to the public, and Paul, I'd rather listen to the public.
Again, my name is Richard Kay, 66 Conflower Lane. All due respect, I'm not trying to tell this council how to do its job, but I believe what I heard, which makes sense. Each individual should put down all of the questions he or she has. It would make sense to send those in advance so the superintendent is able to bring the appropriate information to as much of what is asked as possible. In no way does that stop the conversation once he's here for other questions that may emerge based upon what is said. But the more you give an individual to prepare, he or she can come with the most extensive amount of data you need.
That's what we plan to do.
Number two, it's absolutely correct to find out exactly what the law says. And number three, because I heard it said, there are times now a school person calls when there's an emergency to the local police. You and I don't know every time that happens. I know when that happens, when I sat in the office of principal. A member of the police force is immediately dispatched, whoever is closest and available, which means our police people are being trained constantly in these kinds of areas to understand younger children, older children, children with particular needs, general population. That training is ongoing and always, because you never know when on a given day something happens and the administration makes the decision, call the police. And they do that at the same time they put into place all the things they've trained themselves to do inside the building. That happens as just standard operating procedure. It's never reported out, but it shows you that the police people are trained to come into those situations. That's part of what they're trained to do in an emergency. So I would hope, and my last question to the group, but also to Dr. Adderholt, I've not asked him this. Is it possible to say, until an individual is properly trained to our level of satisfaction and our standards, he or she will not be employed? so that you do the training first before you say, okay, come on in, as opposed to saying, well, this looked like a pretty good interview, now come in and we'll train you along the way. I don't know.
I think that's certainly something that...
I don't know what the law
I know that
allows
Aisha
us.
had mentioned that to me, and I had mentioned that to her in a conversation. We were both concerned about how the training should come first.
And those are the legal questions that will be part of what you ask.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Paul Pitluck, 69 Rainflower. I would just like to emphasize the point that you have to set priorities here. No one expects that we're going to have 6 police officers overnight. And you have to establish a priority. The high school is the most important school that you want a police officer. That's where most probably a dangerous situation could develop. And let me just tell you from my own experience that there are police officers in the schools that you don't know anything about. I'll give you one example. I sat in my office as the dean of students, and we had what was called discipline cards. A student was given a card because he misbehaved. He came to my office for discipline reasons. He sat down, student told me, "Would you please close the door?" And he showed me his badge. He was an undercover police officer investigating drugs in our school. I assure you, this is common practice. It's going on all the time. You don't know who is a police officer. And I thank God for that. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Paul, one of the concerns people have is not the police officer carrying police officer. People have concerns about police carrying guns in school.
Well, I want a police officer carrying a gun. They're the ones that are trained to carry a gun.
I'm just conveying the other side.
Dan Weiss, 15 Canoebrook. Figured I'd get a word in since I'm staying. The questions that you should ask are, what is the data about school shootings in the country? What's the percentage of number of schools that actually have shootings that need a police officer? What about the statistics and data in New Jersey, one of the few states that have one of the strictest gun laws in the country? How many times are there actual gun incidents and you need an armed officer in your school in New Jersey? And then ask about the data about Mercer County and ask the data about West Windsor. I have 3 children in the West Windsor School District. And the last thing that I want to see is more guns, because I think it provides an incredibly false sense of security, of protection. What about what happens if it's going to protect somebody in the school, what about when they're in the playground? Are you going to put an officer on every single bus? Because somebody could get shot on the bus. What about when they go to lunch? Are you going to send officers out to Al John's and the pizza place to protect them there? What about when they go to the movie theater? Do you need to get officers there also? More and more and more guns is not the answer. Ask about data. Make your decisions based on data, please. Thank you.
Thank you.
Veronica Mina, 41 Galston Drive. First and foremost, I want to thank you, because at least we're having a discussion, and for me, that means the world, because unfortunately, when we go to the BOE, we never get an answer. We have very few questions. So from the bottom of my heart, really thank you that at least we're having this discussion. However, going back to what other residents were talking about, I spent a lot of time in Dutch Neck. That's where my 3 kids are. So I talk to a lot of elementary teachers. The teachers are even confused if, for example, they're doing the drills. Are they doing the drills adequately? Are they doing the drills appropriately? Are these drills going to be effective? So before we even think about putting a Class 3 officer in a school, maybe we should think about training the teachers and making sure that the teachers feel safe so they can transmit that safety to our students. I think that that is the most important thing. Second, when I hear that, well, yeah, police officers are trained to deal with autistic kids, please let me remind you what a Kentucky officer did with an 8-year-old that handcuffed him above the elbows because his arms were so small and thin that he could not even put the handcuffs properly. So it's not like, oh, the training is ongoing and these are the standards. No, there has been a lot of violation from civil rights, and unfortunately, kids that they have learning disabilities or kids that they have any type of mental disorder, bipolar disorder, kids that they cannot follow instructions, not because they don't want to, just because they get anxious and they all of a sudden get nervous and they cannot focus, are the kids who suffer the most. There are plenty of videos that police officers have done with their own child, that this was after Parkland, Florida, where the kid says that he gets nervous and he has to put his hands in his pocket. And that's the way it is. So let's not be fooled. There's a lot of things that they need to happen. And the most concerning thing is that all of a sudden there is a rush. Maybe not from you, council members, but definitely from the BOE, and that is concerning. Today I took my kids to Taekwondo, and I started to ask the parents. There were at least 15 different parents there. I said, do you know that there's a planning to put police officers in the schools with guns? Nobody had a clue. No one. So the community does not even know that this is going to happen. There's much more information that needs to be provided. Just a simple presentation online, it's appreciated, but that does not make the point. People need to be educated, the community needs to give their input, and parents, these are our kids at the end of the day. These are not guinea pigs that the BOE can decide just because it's the fad. You know, Cranberry, it's not talking about police officers. Princeton Public Schools is not talking about police officers. And what I have asked every single member, how come the private schools are not talking about police officers? Why private schools, they do not think that this is important? Thank you.
Thank you. All right. I think it's time to call for a motion to adjourn.
So moved. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
9:28.
Not the quickest, but not the longest either.